Alright guys, in this vehicle specific video we're going to be doing the front doors on a Ford Econoline van. This is a 2008 model. Let's go ahead with the outside prep. We'll take the door panel off to remove the weather stripping and lay out the bulk material. We do have rain guards on here that are stuck into place, so we can't remove them. So we're going to leave those into place. And I do see some glue residue, so we're going to pay extra close attention to removing that before we lay out the bulk material. But before we clean the inside, let's go ahead and pop the weather stripping out. And to do this on the E series vans, I'm going to pop this front cover off but from the top, pop it back, and then it lifts up. Little tab goes in. And then we have a Phillips head behind here. Go ahead and remove that. And then we have one screw under the window lock switches. You're going to go from the back with the gasket jammer. Pry that up. Go on the side, twist it, pop it up, pull it back. One Phillips head behind there, just to relieve some extra pressure, because we're only going to pull the top of the panel back. Then we'll go from the back, roll it off. And then we use the gasket jammer stick to grab the gasket, push it up, lift it up, pull it out. Now we have the window fully exposed so we can bottom load. Go ahead and follow up with the inside prep, removing all the excess glue that is on the glass, and then we'll lay out the bulk material. All right, looks like we got all the glue off. Give it a final wipe down. Roll the window up all the way. This window is taller than 20 inches. So if you're going to do this, I would recommend doing a 40-inch roll sideways, rolling it from top to bottom instead of side to side. That way you only use the exact material that you need. Let's go ahead and do that now. Wipe the bottom edge of the outside. If you are on the shorter side, you may need to use a step stool if the van is up this high. We're doing 20% on these two front doors. Go ahead and wrap the beginning over the top edge and then roll it down. Make sure you cut enough material. And since we don't have a straight edge on the bottom, we'll have to cut the bottom edge first. So we'll overhang all sides. Mist it up. Mount it in place in the center. Cut the bottom edge first. I'm going to shift this forward and back. So I'm going to shift it forward first. I'm going to cut some excess material off here. Cut the front edge. Make sure our bottom edge is lined up. We're going to release our squeegee mount. Shift it forward a quarter, actually a half an inch. We're going to shift it forward so we can shift it back. So we're going to line up that bottom edge, shifted it forward a half an inch. We're going to cut the back edge. Make sure your mount is solid so the film doesn't move. Cut the back edge. If you use a 40-inch roller, you're going to have a lot of excess material on the back. Now that we have the back edge cut, we can shift it back. So let's remove this squeegee mount by spraying soapy water. We'll shift it back a quarter of an inch so that we have a quarter inch on the back and the front, and the bottom edge is lined up exact. Then we'll mount it in place. And we'll go ahead and roll it down and cut the top edge. Since this does have rain guards, you want to make sure that the rain guards aren't sticking to the window, or the window film isn't sticking to the rain guards, so it doesn't peel the film off as you roll it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the film like so, tap it down, go back and forth. If you have another person, you can have them hold this, but this works. And as you roll down, mount the film higher, so when it pulls away from the bottom, you're not releasing the entire piece of film. Now we can grab the bottom and just roll this down enough to cut it. Cut some excess material off so it's not a hassle. We'll mount the top in place. Make sure you have a fresh razor blade, and then cut the top edge starting from the front, going around the round that's on the front top corner, and then the back as well. You want to match that exactly. I got caught up a little bit here, so I'm going to start and create a continuation. And then I'm going to clean that up when I pull this off now. Now here's the tricky thing with this. Since you have a round here and a round here, when we install this film, we're going to be shifting it back slightly to create a light gap here. So this round we have to cut down a little bit, so it's okay that I had a little mistake there. I'll show you guys how I do that right now. Let's first start with the continuation of the front edge. Make that all the way up. And the continuation of the back edge. All the way up. And before we get to the top corners with that round and what I was saying before, let's just clean up the bottom edges first. Front bottom corner, nice and tight. Rear bottom corner, nice and tight. Then we'll go ahead and focus on the front top corner. First, we'll do the continuation of the top edge, round out into the front. And now we have the back top edge here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from about right here, and I'm going to cut about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe even smaller, just enough to take off some of the material and round it out at the end. Now that's going to take a little bit of practice, but that should match up perfectly to what's there. And to check that, we'll spray up soapy water, and we'll line it up on the outside of the glass before we install it to make sure that all the edges line up as they should. The whole key here is to have a nice tight edge all the way around, which we do. So we'll go ahead and mount this about 3 inches from the top, since we do have the rain guard in the way. When we roll it up, we don't want the film to be under the rain guard. So we'll mount that there, roll the window up, and then do our spray squeegee spray. Spray down the sides, across the bottom, down the back, flushing out any of that excess glue that was there when we razored it off. We'll do our standard squeegee to clean the window. Then we can grab the material. Just like any other bottom loading front door, we're going to put the bottom front corner in first. Work that top corner in without touching the edges. These are felt edges. And pivot it into place. Work back and forth. Get the back edge in. And now we have it here. We can roll it down so they have more room to work with. Get that top edge as perfect as possible. looks really good. This is a hard window to get perfect since you do have a radius here and here instead of just a hard corner, so it does make it a little bit more complicated to get that perfect tight edge when you're hand cutting. So let's start with our light squeegee strokes to get this mounted into place. It will move as you go if it is cold or use too much soap. Just reposition it as you go. Now we'll go ahead and do the final squeegee press overlapping strokes from front to back. Then we'll follow up by pushing the top edge out with the Blue Hawk towel and the gray Graylitco card with the heat gun. Make sure that's sealed up really nice. Go down the sides with the gray Graylitco. Do a quick check from the outside. And make sure the corners are pushed down and laid down nicely, just so they don't cause any peeling when you roll the window up. And we're good to roll this window up. Squeegee out the remainder. Go down the sides. And then we'll heat the bottom with the gray Graylitco card. Go ahead and give it a quick check from the outside. This window looks perfect. So once it's to the position that you like it, there's no errors, we can go ahead and put the gasket back in. It's very simple, just pull away from the top, put the front edge in first onto the channel, slide it forward, lay it down, make sure it's on there snug, and then we're going to take the panel and roll it back onto the weather stripping. Give it a tap, back into place, and we'll put the 2 screws back and this car will be done. When you put the window switch back in, the front's got to go on first and then the back comes down. Careful not to pinch your fingers. And then the front triangle, bottom edge has to go on first. Line the clips up and tap them into place. Quick wipe down. And that is how you tint the front doors on the 2008 E-Series Ford van. I'll see you guys in the next video.